As a deer hunter, I want to know all I can about America's favorite big game animal. That's why I became a deer farmer. Without deer farms, we lose our greatest resource for research and whitetail management. With them, we gain more knowledge than ever before. Join me as we discover the truth about whitetails and meet those who work every day to preserve this great species for future generations. My name is Keith Warren, and this is Deer and Wildlife Stories. Alright, we are running late, and today it is going to be a scorcher. We're in Texas and we're fixing to show you some really big deer. Boy, what a nice looking place. And looky there, he's waiting on me. Good morning!
Morning, Keith.
I know I'm late. I'm sorry. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Hey everybody, welcome to kind of northwest Texas. We're about 90 miles outside of Fort Worth. This is James Veitenheimer, and we are at V-Tex Whitetails, and we're fixing to show you some great big old bucks.
Go. I'm James Veitenheimer, owner of V-Tex Whitetails. We're located in Windthorst, Texas, which is about 90 miles west of Fort Worth. We've been in the dairy business for 30 years prior to starting in the deer raising operation, and it was a whole lot alike because of the animal husbandry, and we feel like it seems to be a more profitable operation than dairy farming and a whole lot more enjoyable.
You know, there's a lot of deer farmers that people have heard a lot about. I mean, their names are very well known, and then there's guys that have, in my opinion, just as good or maybe better deer that the general deer farming population hadn't heard about, and that's the case right here at V-Tex Whitetails. James is the kind of guy, he's quiet. I mean, anybody who's ever gone on these shows and walked up to his booth has seen some impressive deer, but James is a quiet guy. He's not boastful at all. And so, you know, coming out here for me was a real surprise. I saw the big deer, but then I saw how come really nobody is aware that he's even out here. This is in the middle of nowhere. I mean, this, although we're only 90 miles from Fort Worth, it looks like where the cowboys and Indians fought it out. I mean, we're in the middle of nowhere. And so for somebody to come out here, they need to hear about the place, and that's really my job. I want to tell people about this place. I want to tell them about the deer that James has got. James and his wife have done this thing on their own from the very beginning, and I mean, when you look at their deer, they are as impressive as any deer that you see anywhere in the country. Deer and Wildlife Stories is brought to you by the North American Deer Farmers Association, New Dart, Newport Labs, the North American Deer Registry, Beam Fence Company, Shock Effect, GMS, Deer Guardian Misting Systems, Record Rack Deer Feeds, T3 Whitetails, and Dr. Ray Favero's Whitetail Genetics. All right, so you think it's going to get to be 100 today?
I believe it will.
Probably 100 in the shade.
If you're lucky.
So where are you taking me to first?
I'm gonna take you to 3-year-old pen. I think they're looking pretty good this year.
All right, good. All right, folks, 3-year-old pen. I want to talk to you before we even go in the pen. Here's the deal. If you go to a deer farm, go to the 3-year-old pen, because when you look at the 3-year-olds first, it'll give you a good indication of what they're capable of growing on the deer farm. And after we look at these guys, whew, there's some good ones. After we look at them, I'm going to tell you a couple of other reasons why I like starting out in the 3-year-old pen first. Okay, they're all 3-year-olds in here?
Yes, every one of them.
Now, they were all born here, weren't they?
Exactly. Every deer on this place has been born here except one out of 400 deer.
My goodness.
And,
okay, so there's one in there that, you know, when deer farmers are always trying to grow a deer that has the look. They could quote the look. And there's one deer in there in particular that, to me, has the look. And you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, that'd be Wide Open. We named him Wide Open because he's probably 32, 33 inches inside, probably 32-inch main beams.
And look at the mass on him too. I mean, that is a big deer. And you know, there's lots of big deer in here, and you can see all these deer, they probably score better than him.
Right.
But that deer has got the look, and that's what to me, that's what most deer farmers talk about that they're looking for. That deer out of all of them's got the look. Now, a lot of other ones are really big. I mean, you've got some real wide ones in there too with lots of stuff on them.
And we'll probably breed with him this year mainly just to keep that big main frame and the openness, the wide width. We can breed him to some deer that tend not to have that. Yep. To offset it, and it'll be a good mix.
So what they're trying to do here is they're trying to introduce those genetics of, when you say his name's Wide Open?
Yes.
Okay.
He's sired by my Plenty Wide buck.
Okay, Plenty Wide. I was looking at pedigrees, the certificates that he's got. The Plenty Wide has sired a lot of deer out here. And so I can see where he picked up the width, but he's going to try to put that deer right there and some other deer to try to improve the offspring genetically in them. But that's nice. Now, there's a deer back over there. It's got a real nice flyer off of him. I mean, there's just some really nice looking deer. Now, these deer right here, let me ask you something. If they're born here and you raised them up to 3 years old, what are you going to do with them now?
At 3 years old, we'll sell some of the biggest ones for breeder bucks. Use 1 or 2 for our own does. And a lot of them will be released out on the ranch to spread their genetics with deer out in the ranch to improve the whole environment process.
The overall quality. And that's one thing that deer farming does, folks. Deer farming allows the landowner of a piece of property that has poor genetics to get a hold of somebody like James and really reintroduce good genetics. I mean, bring genetics in from deer like this and deer that we're going to be showing you on today's show, and introduce them into your piece of property to where you can improve the overall quality of your deer herd. Those are nice looking deer right there.
Thank you.
Okay, if somebody wanted to contact you to find out more information on coming out for a farm tour, give them a telephone number.
Just give me a call at 940-237-6353.
Take a look at this. This is the way that they feed out here. They've got bulk feeders. These are bulk feeders that they wind up putting record rack in. And deer can come up here and nose up and they can get the feed out anytime, okay? Now, one thing that will happen a lot of times is deer, if any deer hunters out there will know this, a deer winds up going to a feeder or a water source, and that deer, there's a dominant deer, whether it's a buck or doe, will claim that feeder. And a lot of times they will keep the other deer, for example, from feeding, and that's one thing you don't want to do. You want to get as much feed in those deer as possible. So what he's done here, James has got a free choice feeder, 24/7 the deer can come, but he's also got this feeder over here. Take a look at this. This is just a trough. Now what happens, he's going to pour the record rack out in here, and as he pours the record rack out here, what that does, it splits these deer up. It gives them an opportunity that the bad boy in the pen, he may go over there and claim that protein feeder, but the other guys that are not as bad as him that need to eat, they're going to be able to come over here and eat. So it kind of spreads them out, and it gives everybody an ample opportunity to get plenty of groceries. Let me show you this feed, because it is a different kind of a record rack feed than normal. This is a textured feed. All right, now I feed record rack pellets on my place, and I have exceptional growth from the deer. I mean, they all look good, but why is it that you have chosen to feed the record rack textured?
I feel like during the horn growth period, they need to eat more, consume more pounds of feed. And with the textured feed, pouring it in the troughs, I accomplished that. Because some of the bucks are eating up to 6 and 7 pounds of feed per day.
Well, that's good. If you can get a buck eating 6 to 7 pounds a day, you're doing good, but you got to have something they like to eat.
And they do like eating record rack.
Yeah, they do. All right, taking me to the the temperature out here can range in the summer from 110 or 112 in the wintertime to getting down in the single digits, can't it?
Yeah, and the worst thing is the wind chill.
What are you going to show me now?
We're going to look at 2-year-olds.
Okay. All right, so as we take a look at the 2-year-olds here, what I want you to do is I want you to realize that a deer, by the time he's 2 years old, really starts showing what he's capable of producing down the road. If you've got a great 1-year-old or a yearling buck, odds are he's going to turn into a beast of a deer down the road, given the right nutrition and given the right age. But if you've got a 1-year-old that's not so great, but he's got great genetics and you give him the right nutrition, sometimes at 2, they can really blow up. And has that been the case? Have you seen some deer do that?
Occasionally, sometimes as yearlings, the yearling deer won't show their potential until they reach 2 years, and then they start to blossom.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen deer, little old 6-pointers or 7-pointers at 2 years old. Ooh, you got some good ones in here. Come up, I mean, where they'll have a 10-point set of antlers or even better. But I mean, look at this. You got some really nice deer in here. How many are in here?
There's 26 in this pen, and the best one, in my opinion, is the one we named Old West. He's about 30 inches inside. He has 4 drop tines. He's just going to be a tremendous deer, and he got an excellent pedigree to go with it.
Okay, now, and who is he out of?
He's sired by my Thorn buck.
Oh, now Thorn, folks, Thorn is a piebald buck. He is a gigantic, matter of fact, somebody may take me on this, but I think he's the biggest piebald buck. I guarantee he's the biggest piebald buck I have ever seen. If somebody wanted to buy a 2-year-old from you, would you sell a 2-year-old?
Yeah, I do sell 2-year-olds for breeding purposes.
Okay. So if you're a breeder out there and you're looking at one of these deer and you're thinking, okay, that looks like something you'd like to breed with, give James a call, because I mean, some of these deer right here, if they're big now, I can promise you at 3 years old and the right nutrition, they're gonna get really, really big. All right, well, I've been looking forward to seeing them all day long, and it's time. Why don't you take me to take a look at the 1-year-olds?
Let's go.
All right. Richard from Pennsylvania says, I'm a public land hunter and have personally seen the quality of deer go down over the years. It's so bad that I can go a whole season without seeing a decent buck. The good genetics are all shot out. Why doesn't the state buy deer from deer farms? Why wouldn't that be a good idea? Richard, that's a great idea. I've often wondered that. You know, the deer on deer farms are healthy. We test all of them. They have great genetics, and you would think that the states would open up and want to work with the people that know more about deer and deer genetics than they do, and that would be deer farmers. I think deer farmers would love to work with states and be able to help get the deer genetics, the quality of the deer genetics up, not just in Pennsylvania, but everywhere. Richard, that's a really good question.
Now it's time for the Beam Fence Minute.
On your property, if you've got some old barbed wire, some old woven wire that's been there for 20 years, that's rusted up in the ground, we've got a wire roller that'll get rid of that wire for you, roll it back up. It'll do it efficiently and quickly and labor saving. We've designed a machine, it's called the Roll Master. What this machine does is it will recover all this old wire, barbed wire, smooth wire, and also a little roll up page wire as well. It's a hydraulic machine that operates off your pallet forks or your front end of your tractor. It's safe, it's easy to use, and it's really efficient. It'll get the job done real quick for you. This product is called the Roll Master. If you're interested in this product or other products that we have, go to our website at beamfence.com.
Ooh, folks, I got to tell you something. We've been doing deer and wildlife stories now. This is our 7th season, James. And I want to tell you, the one thing that I'm noticing is that the yearling bucks are getting better just about everywhere. I mean, everybody is starting to get really good genetics, but these right here, these yearlings are beautiful.
Thank you. I know a lot of people are getting a lot of big deer. We think we're kind of in that same window where our deer are getting bigger every year.
I want to tell you something. There was what you're doing. You've been doing it for how many years now?
17 years.
Okay, 17 years. What happens? I ran into a guy the other day, and he told me. He says, he said, well, it's really kind of simple growing big deer. And I said, tell me the secret. And I know most people want to know the secret. You know what he said? And I know you know this. He says, once you figure it out, and you've got the good producing females and the good producing males, all you got to do is stack them 5 deep. And when you stack them 5 deep, you have 5 generations back. More than likely, what you're going to produce is unbelievable good. And just take a look at that.
Oh, it just shows what that kind of generation and after generation of stacking big deer upon big deer, makes it a whole lot easier to produce big deer.
And when you wind up looking at these guys, you got to think, well, how come deer in the wild don't get that big? I mean, really, some deer do, but most of them don't. The reason why is because the genetics have been really poached, okay? What happens is the hunters come in there and they shoot the biggest one before he has a chance to breed.
Right.
And so how do you get a big one if you don't have the best genetics do the breeding? Well, on a deer farm, you have the best genetics do the breeding. And just take a look at what you got. That's amazing. Now, again, are any of these bucks for sale?
Yeah. 1 or 2 maybe. I try to hang on to my yearlings till they're 2 years of age just to see what they're going to blossom into.
Yeah, and that's just about a philosophy just about every deer farmer has. I know I do. I'll sell the other stuff, but the 1-year-olds, I'm holding on to them because I know some of them may have had a stomach ache, some of them gotten sick or late-born fawn, and they sometimes have a chance to really blow up. So never count out a 1-year-old. You can find the worst 1-year-old in this pen, and he's got as good a blood as the best 1-year-old in this pen. It's just why doesn't he have it on his head? We don't know. That's why as deer farmers we give them until they're 2. All right, so folks, we're at V-Tex Whitetails. We're located about right now 90 miles due west of Fort Worth, Texas. So if you've ever want to come out and take a tour of a real nice deer farm and meet some real nice people, give James a call. Give him the telephone number.
940-237-6353. And you're always welcome.
Good job. And now, folks, we're going to show you some breeder bucks, and we're going to show you that great big piebald named Thorn. So these are the breeder bucks.
Yeah, they are. It's Thorn, Suspense, and Dos Verde.
Dos Verde. Is that what you said?
Their tag is green too. That's Spanish for
Dose
Green toe.
Yep, I'll be doggone. I'll tell you what, look at Thorn. I mean, Thorn is a piebald, folks. Look at it. Look it down on the side. That is a awesome deer. Most piebalds do not get big, and they certainly don't get big like Thorn, but Thorn winds up, he throws that, doesn't he? He throws big.
He does. He's got 3 2-year-olds that are over 240 this year, and my bigger yearlings are sired by Thorn.
Really?
So he's got great transmitting ability.
And his age is?
He's 4 years of age.
Golly. Okay, and the other buck is Suspense. Tell me about Suspense. How old is he, and what do you think he'll score?
Suspense is a 3-year-old. We think he'll be over 400 inches this year. He's sired by Plenty Wide, who was also born and raised here.
Yep, going back to that Plenty Wide line. Now, well, thanks for showing me around. And y'all, thank you for watching. And if you want more information, you can get a hold of James. Give him a phone number.
940-237-6353.
And if you've got any questions or comments about the show today or any of our shows, all you need to do is shoot me an email and I give him a word. I'll get back with you. And again, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week on Deer and Wildlife Stories. Let's get out of here. We got to go eat some stuff.
All right.
I've enjoyed today.